Welcome to the Genealogy Gems podcast. It's a show filled with family history research strategies and techniques, news and entertainment, and inspiration. And I'm your host, Louise Cooke. Hello and welcome to the Genealogy Gems podcast. I'm Louise Cooke. And I'm here at Federation of Genealogical Societies Conference 2018 in Fort Wayne, Indiana, and I have a live studio audience. Yes! So good to see you all here. I am done with my teaching. I did the first day a 2-hour Google workshop. Was anybody in the workshop the first day? We did 2 hours, and then I did a video class. I did a Google methodology class. My gosh, we filled every single seat, didn't we? And they actually closed the doors and a couple people left. And we did 7 awesome apps, which is one of the videos that's coming to Genealogy Gems premium membership. So if you are not a member, you will find that there is lots there for you. They do record some of the stuff that goes on here at FGS, but since we have our membership, we put all my classes on video on the membership website, and those classes are coming soon if they're not already there. What else is happening? Well, I'm traveled here with my daughter, Hannah Fullerton. She's behind the camera, wave. And of course, my husband, Bill Cooke, is here. We call him, he's the Gems roadie. He's the roadie guy. He gets all this equipment up and running and working, which is fantastic. Everybody here in our audience is getting a prize ticket because we are going to do a big prize drawing, because at the booth here at some of these national conferences, we do a setup where we get a chance to actually do little power training sessions right here in the booth, and we always do give prize giveaways. What we normally do in a podcast is a MAILBOX segment, and so that's what we're going to do. And we are going to grab somebody out of the audience who's been a long time Genealogy Gems podcast listener. I would sing the MAILBOX song, but you don't want that. I know you don't want that. And let's bring me a letter. See, it shouldn't have happened. And with me here is Jeannette. She's from the Niagara County Genealogical Society. And Jeannette, we are old friends because, one, I talked to you on the podcast, and then 2, I talked to you in person.
Yes, I have been listening to you for years and years. In fact, I was just telling someone that you helped me when I was starting. You know, I would go back to the beginning and re-listen to all the podcasts over and over and pick up little things each time that I didn't pick up the time before. And so when my society for the Niagara County Genealogical Society wanted to bring in a national speaker, I knew exactly who I wanted to bring. I'm like, I've got someone, no problem. So I contacted you, and you came out 2 years ago and spoke to our society, and it was a wonderful day.
It was wonderful for me, too. I had never been anywhere near Niagara, so I had to look it up on the map. It was so much fun. You had such an enthusiastic group, and you have a lot of helpers. I go to a lot of societies and speak, and sometimes there's just 1 or 2 people who are orchestrating the whole show. And many of those kinds of people are here at this conference because they're here getting support from FGS. But you had quite a team of people who really backed you up. I could tell, though, you had the reins firmly in hand, and you really knew what you were doing.
Oh, my gosh, we are a team. I often think about our society board members and go, we couldn't survive without you. And then I think about the next one, and we couldn't survive without you. I'm so fortunate to be surrounded by such wonderful colleagues for our board, and I'm so excited. This is my first time being at FGS to bring back, and I've been texting them ideas. I want to share with our society the new vendors that I've been exposed to here and some of the new techniques. So this has just been a wonderful couple of days.
Absolutely. What was one of the first things you were most excited about to kind of get that idea back to the society to say, we need to start thinking about doing this?
Having a society blog.
Yes.
That's not something that our society currently has. We are quite active on Facebook, but the simplicity of we want to draw more traffic to our society, and Google searching is not going to bring back Facebook posts as a search result. Whereas if we had a blog, that would find it and help drive traffic to our society. So that was definitely the first take home I took on day 1, and I already messaged my board members and have some great ideas to put that in place. So that was my number one tip that I got.
I think that's got to be the best one I can think of. And really, SEO, that's the phrase you need to be thinking about, is that SEO, search engine optimization, that we don't assume that people who find us are going to know where we're from. So I go to a lot of county websites or a lot of genealogical county websites, and they don't say what state they're in. And there's a lot of Franklin counties in a lot of different states, right? So just saying where you are, kind of repeating the keywords to make sure that Google picks up and gets them. Have you ever thought about a YouTube channel?
We have one.
You have one?
We do. We do have a YouTube channel. And when our presenters give permission for their session to be recorded, we do put it up there. And so that is one thing that we were doing. We just somehow missed the blog. So we were doing a lot of good things, and I think we're going to be adding this to our society as well.
So I'm going to take a poll of our live studio audience. How many of you regularly read a genealogy or library or archive blog? Now, see, this is a techier crowd, though, because they weren't scared off by the word podcast. And so I saw a lot of hands go up. I asked that question in one of my classes, and I think maybe 3 hands went up. And I've asked people, why is it that you don't? And they said, blog is just for people who rant. And that probably is some of the ideas that people have about blogs. And you hear that term and you think, oh, that's just, raving lunatics. But it's not. It's really a delivery of articles, isn't it? Blogging is the fact that you publish an article and the most recent is at the top of the page and that you can subscribe to it so it comes to you, which makes it so much easier. That's really what blog is all about. Good for you guys for doing that. And thank you so much, because I love getting out and seeing groups in person. And isn't there something that kind of happens when you get to have one speaker for the full day? We all kind of bonded, and that's a nice feature of that versus kind of jumping from class to class. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Jeannette, for joining us. Oh, I love live mailbox. Let's do a round of applause for Jeannette. All right. Well, I want to invite Shannon Combs-Bennett up. She is my guest today, my first guest. Shannon has been teaching here at FGS 2018. She taught a class, Vital Records Are Always Correct, or are they? In fact, aren't you teaching that a little later today?
I am. It's the last session, so everyone's staying until 5 o'clock, right?
Of course. Yes, they do not look tired yet. I see energy. So I'm going to read the description here.
Okay.
Now, this session was about records. Even official ones can be wrong. Yes, we all know that. Everybody's going, Evidence could even raise more questions than answers when conducting your research, leading to an exhaustive search to find the truth. But how do you do this? So in this session, you're going to be following a case study which showed the wrong father listed on a woman's vital records.
Yeah.
Fascinating. Tell us a little bit about how this all came about.
Well, my husband's family, they're troublemakers.
Oh, this is right at home.
Oh, yeah. No, this is my husband's family. He had a man who assumed a new identity. He has a woman who can't know who her father is.
Now, is your husband a genealogist?
No, he leaves it all to me.
It's so unfair. Mine is not either, and they're the ones with the cool stories.
I know.
Yeah.
I was researching his family, like you do, and going, from him back, and I'm going back, and I get to his second great-grandmother on his father's side, and I hit a brick wall. And I'm like, I shouldn't be hitting a brick wall. I mean, she died in 1929 in New York. I have the death certificate. I have her marriage certificate. I have her on all the census records. This should be pretty clear cut. And it took me 2 years because her maiden name wasn't what she said it was.
What's the motivation for lying about the maid? Or I should say lying, because it's assuming that that's what she meant to do.
Obviously, I can't ask her.
Yeah.
If I could get in that time machine, I would go, Augusta, what are you thinking?
Right.
But all I can think of was her biological father died when she was 5 years old. And her mother remarried very, very quickly. She was a young widow with 2 children, 2 girls under the age of 5 in New York City in the 1880s. So within 6 months, she had remarried. And all I can think of was she put down who her father was, and that was her stepfather. And so her marriage record, her death certificate, any record that she created during her lifetime that I've been able to find lists Emil Janka as her father and not her stepfather.
And see, just what I was saying when I asked her about this was, why would she lie? Now, isn't that funny how often you come across something and you jump to what seems like a logical conclusion. In reality, I don't think she was really lying, right?
No, I mean...
So we can't really judge what happens that long ago.
And I have to say, this is the same woman who, part of me wonders if her English was lacking.
Sure.
Because she was raised in a German household. I know living members of the family, like her grandchildren who remember her and told stories that got passed down to me, that she always had a very thick German accent. She could speak both English and German. But this is also the woman who caused me another headache because she double enumerated her children for me.
So twice in the same census record?
Somebody asked who lives in the household, and in the 1920 U.S. Census, she listed her husband, and all of her children. All of her children were married and living elsewhere.
Oh, and I'm like, they were her children.
What in the world? What? Oh my God.
But you know what? That's actually a boon to a genealogist, because that's twice the information from two different sources. Mm-hmm. Lucky.
I just had to figure out where they really were living.
Yeah. Wow. So vital records not always being accurate. When you find a mystery like that, what do you suggest to people? How do you kind of calm down and restart?
After you cuss a lot?
Yeah.
Well, I basically, when I started figuring out that there was a problem, I had to become very methodical.
Right.
What do I know? What do I don't know? How do I work myself back in time? And what I had to do in that line is then I had to go to her sisters. Do the collateral lines hold information that she doesn't have? Could I find clues in other church records? I was lucky in that I took German in college, so I can still kind of read broken German.
Oh, yes.
I have a little bit of the accent when you ask me to pronounce things, but I'm not fluent in any way. But I was able, on Family Search, they're not indexed, but the Lutheran church records from the church they got married in are there. And so every afternoon for several months, I would, go through a couple pages reading about the year I thought that her mother and her stepfather would have gotten married. And that's actually how I found out that he wasn't her real father, because it lists all that information in German.
We have a lot of listeners that are kind of new to this.
Yes.
And they hear German records.
I know, it was frightening,
German,
wasn't it?
And you're like, wait a minute. But I personally found them to be some of the easiest records to work with.
Someone asked me, how could you have sat there and do that? And what I did was, I wasn't really reading the record. I was looking for the names. I knew her mother's name. And I knew that her and Emil got married in this specific year. So I was looking for someone named Maria marrying someone named Emil Janka. And I just went page by page until I found it. And then what I always suggest is when you're dealing with foreign records, create a cheat sheet for yourself. What is the word for marriage? What are the months? What are the dates? And that way you can say, oh, this is a marriage record because it's this word, or this is a birth record because it says geboren. And that way you can decipher what it says. And then what did I do when I got really difficult? And I'm like, I have no idea what those words mean. I took a picture of it, posted it on Facebook, and said, I know someone out there reads German who wants to help me.
Fantastic. Shannon, what else do you do when you're not traveling and you're not speaking and you're not at Family Tree University doing things and you're writing articles? Do you have a blog or website? How can people find you?
Okay, well, I am on Twitter under TNT Fam Hist. So you can find me on Twitter. I try to be as active as I can be, but I am
harder and harder, doesn't it?
It gets to get harder and harder. I am in school. I am a working mom, so just pile up the responsibilities. I also do have a blog, TNT Family History at blogspot.com. I'm not as active as I used to be, but when my thesis is done next year, I will be.
Well, I am so happy and so lucky to have you have a few minutes for us here on the podcast. Thank you so much, Shannon, for joining us.
You are very welcome. Thank you for having me.
As I travel the world talking about genealogy, folks are always stopping me and asking for my advice on organizing and securing their family history research. And my standard answer is plant your family tree in your own backyard and share branches online. Planting your tree in your own backyard, it means keeping one master family tree in a software file right there on your own computer. That gives you ownership, control of privacy and security, and one central place to organize everything that you learn about your family. And of course, my software of choice and the one that I use is RootsMagic. I find that its tree building tools are second to none. And with RootsMagic Web Hints, you can see what record hints are available on Family Search, Find My Past, and MyHeritage. And now you have the ability to synchronize your RootsMagic database with your Ancestry tree and get those Ancestry.com web hints right there inside of RootsMagic. These are features that are really critical and they're exclusive to RootsMagic. So plant your tree today in RootsMagic and watch it grow. Get started at rootsmagic.com. My next guest is Daniel Horowitz. Make your way through the chord maze that Hannah has created. I'm so happy to have you here today, Daniel. You know, if there's one person that I see consistently as I'm traveling the world and I'm speaking, it's Daniel. And I'm sure, though, that you travel even more and probably farther than I do. Even though I tucked Australia into my year and I'm going to be seeing you in Oslo, I know you probably went around the globe more than I did. What does an average year look like for the head genealogist at MyHeritage.com?
Well, first, hello everybody. It's really a pleasure to be here with you, Lisa. And well, it's actually only 6 months a year, or at least that's what I'm trying to convince my wife about it. Because my travel starts now in March with RootsTech and ends in August with FGS.
Okay.
So I'm actually almost closing my tour if it was not for Oslo.
Yeah. Except for Oslo.
Except for Oslo, that we came up with that this year.
Exactly.
But it's very interesting. I managed to go into a plane about 4 or 5 times a year, visiting here the States, see all my good friends at the exhibits hall and lecture to people, know new people, and being able to teach them about genealogy. And that's really my passion since the beginning.
Tell everybody where home is.
Oh, home is in Israel. So sometimes, unless I have some Aussie in the crowd, I win for the farthest traveler.
Exactly, you get the prize. Hey, we mentioned Oslo really quickly, and what the things that's happening is MyHeritage, I think this is for the first time, is doing a user conference.
Yes, it's the first time that MyHeritage come up with it's a user conference, but not really.
Oh, okay.
Because it's not reserved only for users. Anybody who would like to learn more specifically about MyHeritage, how to use all the features from MyHeritage, hearing it from the MyHeritage staff. We're bringing more than 20 people from our support department. We're going to have almost 24/7 support tables right there in all the features, the software, the website, the DNA part. We're going to have great lecturers, both product managers and the people that makes the decisions and make the thinking on MyHeritage. So I hope people attending the conference will drop some ideas on them, and back at the office they will be able to interact with the users and hear what the users want, and also hear the thank you that normally I'm the one receiving them here in the conference and then take them back at the office. But we will also have some celebrities talking about how they use MyHeritage, and you are one of them.
I am really excited to go to Oslo, Norway. I have not been there before. I've spoken over in England. We've done a cruise around England and France and Scotland, but I haven't made it farther east, and I'm really looking forward to Oslo, although this is going to be in November. It's going to be a little bit cold, but you know what? That's how I envision Norway anyway, so I'm looking forward to parka shopping.
I was told that we made arrangements for a heater on the hotel and a nice weather out of the hotel.
Yes.
Now, I don't know if that's what they told me to bring me there, or it's some kind of magic that they're planning to do in order to have sun.
It's going to be the heat generated from rabid genealogists who come together in one place. I'll be there. I'm thrilled and I'm honored to be invited. Who else will they be seeing?
Well, we're going to have, of course, our CEO, Gilad Jaffet, which is already a treat. He doesn't travel that much as he would like, but hearing him is really wonderful, even for us employees, and picking his brain when he talks. But we will also have our Chief Scientist Officer, Dr. Jan Ehrlich, for the DNA. We're going to have our main product manager person. We have Jeff Rasmussen from Legacy, company we just recently acquired. We're going to have Dick Eastman, Thomas McKinty, Diane Sutherland, Roberta Estes, and myself, Mike Mansfield also. We're going to have Mike from Genie, Mike Stengel also, yes. And Genie is going to be also represented over there with a few curators. So if you're a MyHeritage user and you have questions about Genie, you're going to be able to answer them there as well.
I was bowling with Mike last night. We went bowling. And Diane Southard was there and Dick Eastman. Of course, Diane Southard is a regular contributor here on Genealogy Gems. She's your DNA guide.
Besides the lectures and the learning, and you probably know already MyHeritage for being fun. We try to do a party every year in RootsTech, and every time in every conference we try to do a little gather. I can guarantee you that also is going to be fun as well.
Excellent. Okay, I would expect no less. Fantastic. Daniel, thank you so much for stopping by.
My pleasure. Thank you, Lisa.
Good to see you. Our sponsor for this episode is MyHeritage, which has over 70 million members worldwide. If you're serious about making connections in the country where your ancestors once lived, hands down, MyHeritage is the place that you want to be. Post your tree on MyHeritage and start to see the magic as they automatically match it up with other trees, not just with genealogists in the country where you live, but around the world. Trees aren't primary sources, but they are excellent leads. I uploaded a portion of my family tree that contains my German heritage, and that's where I was really hoping to make a breakthrough, and very quickly it happened. I received a message from a distant cousin in Germany. That was my first international cousin contact. But there's more at MyHeritage. Their unique and powerful search system, it's called Record Matches. It constantly culls over 5 billion historical records for your family. It's the only family history interface out there using semantic analysis to search newspaper articles, books, and other free text documents. It is also the first to translate names between languages. Find out what MyHeritage can do to help you grow your family tree. Visit myheritage.com. It's free to get started, so there's really no reason to wait. And there are billions of reasons to try it out. Visit myheritage.com. Okay, have you visited backblaze.com/Lisa yet? If you don't have cloud backup for your computer yet, everything on it is vulnerable to loss. Your pictures, your master genealogy database, files for work, the everyday business of your household. Losing all of that at once is as devastating as it sounds. That's why I did my homework and I found a cloud-based backup service provider. I chose Backblaze. It runs in the background 24/7, automatically saving copies of everything, including my precious video files. Did you know that some of the other leading services actually skip your video files when they do the backup? Hello, not good. And Backblaze is so easy to use. I love their free app that allows me to access all my files if I need to from my smartphone or my tablet. Most importantly, the service is totally affordable for real people. It's just $5 a month. So don't wait to ensure that all your files are safe. Do it now. Back them up like I do with Backblaze. Head over to backblaze.com/Lisa and get that $5 a month deal. Check it out for yourself. You could even do a free trial. That's backblaze.com/Lisa.
This is Sunny Morton. I'm here at FGS 2018 in Fort Wayne, Indiana, and I just got a chance to talk to a Genealogy Gems podcast fan. She came up, we're taping live, so you can kind of hear it in the background, but she was whispering to me how much she enjoys the podcast, but I'll let her tell you about it. So tell us who you are.
My name is Adrienne Coleman, and I'm from Mahomet, Illinois.
Okay, so not too far away. You're another Midwesterner.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you were mentioning that you've been listening to the Genealogy Gems podcast for a while. Tell me about that.
I have 2 small children at home, and I can't keep up with my genealogy nearly as much as I want to. but the podcast totally keeps me connected to the genealogy world and gives me all the little fast tips that I can do to keep current instead of diving in for hours and hours. I can listen to the podcast and I get everything out of it that I need.
That's fantastic. I love how you say it helps keep you connected.
It does,
because you need that emotional excitement to come back to it once you haven't been doing it for a little while.
It's my motivator, for sure. Yeah, and then I'll do something that night after they go to bed for a few hours, like focusing on whatever she's talked about. So it keeps me in it.
That's great.
It really keeps me connected.
You've been here at FGS this week. Tell me something you're going home with that you're excited about.
Oh, boy. Well, I am going home with some really great tips on photo identification, which I really need. I'm very fortunate to have inherited my family photos way back to, daguerreotypes on. So I'm really fortunate to have those. And now I'm going to have some good tips on how to identify people.
That's fantastic. Yeah. So we have some tips on the website, too. So for the show notes for this episode, I'll post a couple of those links to those articles. So when you see it, then you'll have some more to help you with.
That'd be great. That'd be awesome.
Well, it's great to meet you. Thanks.
Thank you. Thanks.
This is Melissa Barker, the Archive Lady. And today I'm going to talk to you about a wonderful new tool from the Library and Archives of Canada called CoLab. The Library and Archives of Canada has introduced a new crowdsourcing opportunity for genealogists or anyone interested in records transcription. The Library and Archives of Canada is put a call out for volunteers to be part of a collaborative project to transcribe, add keywords and image tags, translate content from an image, or document and add descriptions to digitize images using CoLab and the new collection search. The more volunteers that participate in this project, the more accessible and usable the digital collection will become for everyone. You can become a contributor in 2 ways. Number 1, you can take on a challenge of images put together by experts at the Library and Archives of Canada. Or number 2, you can use the new collection search to find materials that matter most to you. Then you can enhance them. Anyone can now contribute to digitized images that are found while doing research. The volunteer must register and create a user account so you can keep track of the records to which you have contributed. Once this free account is established, a volunteer can contribute as much or as little as they would like. The challenges are content put together under a theme. For instance, under the Challenges tab on the Library and Archives of Canada's website, you could choose to transcribe the correspondence between Sir Robert Borden and Sam Hughes. The theme for this challenge is listed as Military Heritage. Another challenge someone might choose could be New France and Indigenous Relations, whose theme is listed as Aboriginal Heritage. There are also new challenges being posted to the site, so check back often. Maybe you would like to contribute using collection search. The website describes how this tool works as, when you are conducting research using our new search tool and find images, you'll see that you have the option to enable this image for CoLab contributions. After answering just a few short questions, you can enable an image found in collection search for CoLab use and transcribe, translate, tag, or describe to your heart's content. There is a short tutorial to get you started and show you the ropes. The launch of CoLab also introduces a new image viewer, which allows you to zoom in on different parts of the image or move around the image itself. This tool is useful when transcribing or adding keywords and image tags to describe all the small details. Every image in CoLab is subject to review by other members. If something is found to be incorrect, or if you find something that is wrong, it can be marked as needs review for others to take another look and decide what is correct. The best part about this new Library and Archives Canada tool is that every contribution by the volunteers benefits fellow genealogy researchers and improves records access. Every additional tag or translation becomes new metadata and is searchable within 24 hours of the transcriptions or tagging being completed. So if you're like me and are eager to get as much genealogical and historical records online and transcribed, check into the Library and Archives Canada's new Collab and Collection Search.
Hello, Genealogy Gems podcast listeners. This is Diahan Southard, your DNA guide. MyHeritage continues to release improvements to their DNA product that are meant to both enhance our experience with their website and also make it easier to do our genetic genealogy work. Just recently, they announced the addition of new filters for their match page and a bit of a redesign. The small redesign includes moving the ethnicity estimate to a tab right next to the DNA Matches tab and adding an Overview tab. For any relatives who you have convinced to test, but who only show a passing interest in the actual genetic genealogy research, this Overview tab is a great way to show them their results without overwhelming them. There's a simple rundown of the ethnicity results, and then matches are broken up by relationship level and location. It's this location feature that will most interest the casual investigator as well as the serious researcher. This filter lets you see the current location. Note, not the birth location, though according to the MyHeritage blog post, they plan to add birth location in a future update. So it shows you the current location of your DNA matches. Now, of course, this isn't an active GPS that's spying on your match, but this tool relies on the location that your match has listed as their location in their MyHeritage account. First, it's interesting to scroll through all of the listed countries and see the variety of locations where your DNA is currently residing. Just think about that for a second. If you are DNA matching with someone in Germany, that means that you are sharing some exact pieces of DNA with someone in Germany, which means that a little bit of you is actually there. This can make for an interesting exercise when you compare this list of match locations to the locations listed in your ethnicity results. Remember that your ethnicity results can represent your ancestral locations recently or a very long time ago. So if you see locations on your match list that also appear in your ethnicity results, this might be a good indication that the overlapping location might actually belong in your genealogy. Or the absence of overlap might help you weed out those ethnicities that were thousands of years ago. For example, if you see that your ethnicity results list you as 2% Greek, but you don't have any DNA matches in Greece, this could mean that your connection to this location is before genealogical time. Of course, it could also mean that the right people from Greece haven't tested yet, so don't get too caught up in these deductions. The last section of the overview and the last filter for your match list shows you how many of your matches are reporting at least 10% of various ethnicities. This might be helpful if you're working on your Irish lines, as you can click on Irish, Scottish, and Welsh and see all of your DNA matches who report at least 10% in the Irish, Scottish, and Welsh category. Another powerful way to use the filters at MyHeritage is to combine them. On the main match page, you can click on two different filters to further refine your results. So perhaps you're looking for your Irish ancestor. You might click on the Irish location filter and then also on the Irish, Scottish, and Welsh ethnicity filter. This will give you all of your matches who, 1, currently live in Ireland, and who, 2, score at least 10% in the Irish, Scottish, and Welsh category. Of course, the matches that show up after all the filtering aren't necessarily worth your time or attention. Begin by taking a quick look at how much shared DNA you have. You'll want to be sure that you share at least 20 centimorgans before you go spending too much time scouring their pedigree charts for evidence of a shared ancestor. Likely these filters will continue to improve over time. One thing I would like to see is the ability to use the relationship filter to isolate third cousins instead of always lumping them with the distant cousins. Most of us don't have very many mysteries in the extended family category, which is the first cousins once removed to second cousins once removed. So I don't find this filter to be particularly useful. Instead, they should let us filter our best third and fourth cousins out from the rest of our distant matches. Hopefully, MyHeritage can make some refinements in those categories and thereby make their powerful idea of a two-pronged filter even more effective. Be sure there are a lot more exciting advances to come here at MyHeritage as well as our other testing companies, and you can stay right here for all the news at the Genealogy Gems podcast. And as always, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me at guide@yourdnaguide.com. Talk to you next time.
Do you remember Project Lizzie? Way back in the Genealogy Gems podcast episode number 171, Ron Plouffe came on the show to talk about it. Now, Project Lizzie has been his quest to uncover the life story of Lizzie Milligan, a woman who lived a century ago in Malden, Massachusetts. Inspired by a favorite uncle, Ron has been following the clues left behind on her collection of 99 postcards. These clues have led him to census records, death certificates, obituaries, and transcontinental trips to old New England cemeteries. He documented everything along the way on ProjectLizzie.com. And something you ought to know, he's not even related to Lizzie. I think we all understand that sometimes an historical mystery just draws you in. Well, I heard from Ron that Project Lizzie has finally reached a satisfying conclusion. He has sent in this final report that I'm about to share with you. So let's see how it turned out.
February 22nd, 2018. It's been 1,062 days since my last Project Lizzie post. That's 2 years, 10 months, and 24 days. It wasn't my intent to go silent for so long. I simply ran out of viable leads to speak with someone who actually knew Lizzie. Multiple attempts to reach Lizzie's relatives failed because they either couldn't or wouldn't give me what I needed. Lizzie's great-niece was in a nursing home. Her great-great-niece and great-great-nephew refused multiple attempts for interviews, and while another great-great-niece truly wanted to help, she didn't know anything about the Nestor side of the family. I was so close. All I wanted was something, anything, to add a touch of color to the sepia facts that I'd collected about the life of Lizzie Milligan. Yet, with no new leads, I was forced to change my strategy. Rather than aggressively seeking new relatives, I decided to sit back and wait patiently. With any luck, a relative would find me through either ProjectLizzie.com or Ancestry.com. This new strategy came with a risk, however. Time isn't a luxury when seeking those with first-hand knowledge of a woman who passed away 56 years ago. Lizzie's great-niece died in December of 2015, followed by her husband in March of 2017. My hopes of finishing Project Lizzie dimmed with each day until 2 weeks ago, when one of Ancestry.com's little green leaves announced that someone had uploaded a photo of the Cardinal family. My heart nearly jumped out of my chest because Lizzie lived with the Cardinal family. I wondered if it could be the missing link that I'd been waiting for. Was Lizzie Milligan and her son Edward in this photo? I reached out to Ken, the man who uploaded the image. I asked about the photo source and if he knew the identities of the people in it. Then I waited. You see, I've been down this road before. Would Ken be suspicious like Lizzie's great-great-niece and great-great-nephew? Or would he be open to help? Ken was a godsend. He responded instantly, explaining that the photo came from his Aunt Marilyn and Uncle Fred. I combined his notes with mine and created an annotated version of the photograph. Although I felt disappointed that Lizzie wasn't in it, her sister Ellen was, and so I must have studied Ellen's face for 10 minutes, hoping to find any clue as to what Lizzie might have actually looked like. That's when Ken sent me another photo, taken at Revere Beach circa 1941. He identified the people from left to right as his great-grandfather, Joseph Cardinal, his mother Jean, Uncle Fred, grandmother Gertrude, Uncle William Jr., and his great-great-aunt Elizabeth, that he called Diddy. There she was, Lizzie as a 72-year-old woman. Greedily I requested more photographs. Unfortunately, I learned that this is the only known photographic image of Lizzie Milligan. I savored an unprecedented feeling of satisfaction after completing this 40-some-odd-year journey. Little did I know that I hadn't yet crossed the finish line. Ken introduced me to his Aunt Marilyn, who graciously offered to answer any of my questions. Could Marilyn add the splash of color that I'd hoped for? We engaged in a series of rapid-fire emails. I learned that Marilyn's husband, Fred, lost his father when he was 6 years old. Fred and his mother moved in with the Cardinals, just as Lizzie and her son Edward had done when her husband, Patrick Milligan, died in 1890. I quickly put two and two together. Fred lived with Lizzie. Marilyn explained, Diddy was Fred's great-aunt, and when he moved in, she took care of him like he was her son. When Diddy went to bed, Fred would have to go to bed also. He complained to his mom, but she would say, just do it. Marilyn never met Lizzie, but they did speak briefly on the phone. Marilyn met Fred in 1950 when she was 15 years old. When I would call the house to speak to Fred, if Diddy answered the phone, she would not let me talk to him. Ladies just didn't call men. I laughed. It didn't surprise me that Lizzie would go old school on Marilyn, especially when it came to a girl calling a boy that she'd raised as her own son. When Lizzie's sister Ellen died later that year, she left the house to her daughter Angeline. Angeline then sold it, which forced an 83-year-old Lizzie to find a new place to live. Fred and his mother moved to Hancock Street in Everett with Diddy, Marilyn said. But that didn't work out, so Diddy moved in with the Carlines in Billerica. I stared at my computer monitor. Marilyn had just answered a huge question. How did Lizzie's postcards get from 5 Robinson Road in Malden to 2 Edgemont Avenue in Billerica? I couldn't have asked for a better answer. Lizzie brought them herself. According to Lizzie's death certificate, she died after 2 years of residency at the Mount Pleasant Nursing Home in Billerica. Doing the math, she probably lived at 2 Edgemont for about 10 years. So when Lizzie died, someone probably moved her postcards to the attic, where they collected dust until I liberated them 14 years later. The chain of evidence was now complete. I just needed to ask Marilyn one more question. What do you think Lizzie would have thought about a crazy guy, a century younger than her, spending hundreds of hours researching her life? Marilyn's answer didn't disappoint. Fred said that you would probably wonder why, and then tell you to get a life and mind your own business. She was a bit outspoken in private. Sorry, but you asked. I wasn't sorry. I was hoping for that answer. It confirmed all that I'd pieced together from postcard messages, mailing addresses, census results, vital records, transcontinental cemetery visits, and newspaper articles. Lizzie Milligan was a strong, independent, single mom who commuted daily to Boston, where she worked as a forewoman at a cigar factory. To put that statement into context, Lizzie was a lady boss in an age when women couldn't yet vote in this country. Fred's answer confirmed everything that I'd come to believe about the life of Mrs. Elizabeth Nestor Milligan. My 42-year-old mystery was finally solved. I had traced Lizzie's postcards from her hands to mine and then topped it off with a 77-year-old photograph. If I were on stage right now, I'd so do a mic drop.
Thanks so much, Ron, for the update. You can see the show notes for the Project Lizzie website link. And if you want to learn more about Ron, stop over at storyhow.com, where Ron teaches business people how to tell stories.
Profile America, Tuesday, September 4th. Simple amateur photography, even selfies, should the idea have occurred, became a possibility for the American public 130 years ago. On this date in 1888, George Eastman received a patent for the first camera to use dry, flexible roll film. Eastman's handheld camera, the first to use the brand name Kodak, had enough film on a roll to take 100 exposures. When the roll was finished, the camera was returned to the factory for unloading, developing, and reloading. Now, most cameras are digital, but photographic film and related products still have a market presence. Manufacturing such film, plates, paper, and processing chemicals is a $5.5 billion a year business. You can find more facts about America's people, places, and economy from the American Community Survey at census.gov.
Well, as we wrap up Genealogy Gems podcast episode number 221, much of it recorded at the FGS 2018 conference, I want to thank everybody who contributed today. Ron Plouffe, good to hear from him again. And if you didn't get a chance to listen to the original Project Lizzie, I highly recommend that you get back over to episode 171 to do that. Thank you to Melissa Barker, the archive lady, and of course, Diahan Southard, your DNA guide. I have a little bit of news I wanted to share with you before we wrapped up. A couple of items, actually. Some things have come down the pipeline. RootsTech has announced they are going to London, England. And of course, chances are you're very familiar with the RootsTech conference, probably the largest worldwide conference out there on genealogy. It happens every winter time, usually around February, early March in Utah, in Salt Lake City. And they've had this in the works. They've been looking at it. And of course, after Who Do You Think You Are Live discontinued their big conference over in the UK, that kind of left the door open for other conferences to step in. And there are a couple of them coming up. I'm going to be speaking at the Genealogy Show, which I'm going to be telling you more about next month. That's going to be in Birmingham, England. That was the last location where Who Do You Think You Are Live was held. That's really shaping up to be a terrific conference. But now also we can add to the list of what's going to be happening over there, RootsTech. They're going to be expanding, of course, their international borders beginning October 24th through the 26th of 2019. Now, this event's going to be held at the Excel London Convention Center. And you can find out more about that at rootstech.org/London. This is not going to replace the annual conference that happens in Salt Lake City, but really it's going to serve as an additional RootsTech event, another event to kind of reach folks who can't necessarily make it all the way over to Salt Lake City to attend that conference. It's going to be conducted in English, and registration for RootsTech London 2019 is going to open up in February of 2019. So watch for that. We'll keep an eye and see how that's going to be shaping up and how that might be looking different and maybe the same as the one that happens in Salt Lake City. And of course, Genealogy Gems and I will be at Salt Lake City this year. We're really looking forward to it. Already making plans. You know, we always are. Just practically as soon as the last one closes its doors, we are in the works putting together what we're going to be doing at our booth in the exhibit hall. And I will be speaking again at RootsTech 2019 in Salt Lake City, doing 2 classes there that I'm looking forward to, some new items coming down the pipeline. The big event. I'm more excited about this event than I've been excited in a long time, and that is Genealogy Roots. Now, this is being held at the Senior Expo in Sandy, Utah. That's only about 30 minutes south of Salt Lake City. It's actually really kind of nicely located right between Provo and Salt Lake City. There's so much to do in that area, and it's going to be really easy to pop up to the library, head up to Sundance and have dinner, visit the BYU campus and the BYU Family History Library. Genealogy Roots is something we have been working on here at Genealogy Gems for about a year. And we're calling it the Unconference. You've heard us talk about it here on the show, and I just can't emphasize this enough because this is Diahan Southard coming and talking DNA. Sunny Morton's going to be there. She's going to be talking genealogy research and organization and storytelling. I will be there putting my personal brand of Google searching and methodology into the conference. We're going to be taking a case study. In fact, this is a family right out of Sunny Morton's family tree. So this is going to be what we call the Unconference event. It's not going to look anything like a conference, really. I mean, maybe a little bit, but so many of the things that we have found ourselves getting a little bit frustrated with conferences, particularly some of the national conferences, we're really going to bring some remedy to, and we're going to actually, I think, bring some real improvement to. So let me go back to the beginning. We are using a case study family. So it's not just learning the how-to. It's not just hearing the principles behind the methodology, but it's really seeing it in action. And we're going to be applying this to a real family so you can see it unfold. It's been exciting to put together. I think it's going to be really fun and exciting to watch. And you're going to be participating because we have, folks, we just turned this into the printer. This is a beautiful, full color, interactive workbook. You're not going to walk away with a 20-pound syllabus book. You are going to have a spiral bound, folded over, sit on your lap, easy to write in, lots of places to write in it, interactive book. You're going to follow along with us in the process. All the how-to information is there, and then we're going to give you time to apply it right then, right there. By the time you leave this event, Genealogy Roots, you are going to be chomping at the bit to put all this in action with your own research. And you're going to already have had some hands-on opportunities to do that, to play along with us. We're going to have a game show. Every single hour, we are giving away these gorgeous, huge gift baskets. 3 or 4 prizes, I think, every hour on the hour. We're going to have some surprise activities that you will not expect, and I think you will love. And we are doing this on one stage. You are not going to be running from classroom to classroom to classroom. That is so hard. You can't even make a bio break in between with some of the time frames that you get between classes at genealogy conferences. That's not going to be the case here. You're going to be in one location. Diahan, Sunny, and I will be doing the running around, okay? You're going to get break times. You're going to have activity times. You're going to have this massive senior expo, which is not just genealogy. This is so many different interesting vendors and particularly, geared toward the senior demographic, but you don't have to be a senior to come to this. Not at all. And guess what? Everybody has a senior in their life that they love. And so you're going to be seeing all kinds of terrific products and services and ideas to make family life even better and richer for all ages. So we are going to be moving on the stage. We're going to be working together on the stage. We're going to have 2 huge jumbo screens. You're going to have a gorgeous backdrop behind us. It's elevated so you can see everything. I don't know how many times you've been to a seminar or a conference, but how many times have you been frustrated that you can't read what's on the screen? There's too much on the screen. The screen's not big enough. It's not high enough. All of this is getting fixed. It's our first time out. We're just super jazzed, and I can't wait to see this booklet, this workbook, when it comes back. This is going to be fantastic. It's been a labor of love, and it's all coming together very quickly. You're not going to want to miss it, and you're going to get an opportunity to really bond and work with your new friends at this event. You are going to be making a lot of nice new genealogy friends as you're all together in one location, and we're all working together to solve family history mysteries in real time, in real application, and then you're going to go home and you're going to apply it. And that's what it's all about. So how do you join us for this event? It's not too late. And we have all the info at genealogygems.com. genealogygems.com. So head to the homepage. You will see a big banner there for Genealogy Roots. It's being held October 4th and 5th of 2018. It's in Sandy, Utah. It is the unconference experience. It's going to be fun, energetic, interactive. We're going to get a chance to all get to know each other, and you are going to win some awesome prizes too. It just doesn't get any better than that. So check it out at genealogygems.com/Utah and register now and get ready for a whole new conference experience. And remember, if you are a Genealogy Gems podcast app user, right? You got that from the App Store on your phone or your tablet. Tap the little gift box. It looks like a little gift box. That's your bonus content. I've got a little special bonus content there for you. So check that out. Just head into the app, go to this episode, and tap the little gift box. All right. Well, that's it for this episode. Head to the show notes if you have any questions at genealogygems.com. Go to podcast in the menu and head to episode 221. Thanks so much for listening, friend. I'll talk to you soon.